Have you ever heard of this show called The Loud House? It's a series where a middle child, Lincoln Loud, has to survive in a family of 10 sisters. Yeah, that show. Well, what if I told you that I found an unreleased dark episode? Well, it happened to me a few days before writing this. It's a bit of a long story. I was surfing through the web and came across a website salvage in media known as Digital Fossils. It was a website that carried strange, lost pieces of media that were either phone calls, security footage, images, deleted scenes of movies, etc. I had the interest in strange, lost pieces of media, so I was curious enough to check out for the website. The links that were ordered as fossil dash and then followed by an upcoming case word or a short phrase and a few numbers. These words or phrases were sometimes nonsensical and unrelated to the whole website entry, and sometimes they made sense. For example, fossil dog 807 fossil help 9482 and fossil don't look 370. Some of the entries on the site were slightly disturbing. For example, a recording of a cat playing with a dead bird or a news report of a child going missing on an abandoned playground. I don't know if the site recovered these pieces of lost media, but it had almost everything that it could get its hands on. However, I stayed silent about that. I didn't work on the website anyway. However, as I scrolled down after seeing some entries, I found something that caught my eye. Falso Loud 11. It was rather strange, but it had the word reminded me of one of the ones from earlier that were randomized, but it had 11 after it. It reminded me of Lincoln Loud, the same 11-year-old boy from the show I just talked about earlier. I clicked on the link and saw the description of the entry. The description said the following: "This is the last episode of The Loud House, which is titled as Enough is Enough. It was meant to be a finale of the third season, but scrapped after its production was done. Chris will be planning another season finale for the third one at the moment." However, this replacement was reasonable. The episode was lost for being too disturbing and dark for the series. If you are a fan of The Loud House, then we must tell you that this is no joke. Viewer discretion as advised. I was curious and wondered why it would be like this, for a show like The Loud House to have such an episode like this. So after I downloaded it, I watched the episode. When the episode started, the usual intro played, and so far nothing was wrong. However, at the end, nobody went on the porch to watch TV or couch, but it didn't act like as if there was, so Lily's poo-poo wasn't present. Another thing that was wrong with that ending logo was tainted with the color of pastel red instead of orange. The website was not joking around. There was definitely something wrong with this episode. The title card had a black background with a white fog flowing around the left of it, and its center text saying, "Enough is enough." The bottom bubbles below showed that whoever made the episode, as well as the same as the first two seasons, the music was a low rumbling noise that was a little absent, but something about it you may hear in a horror game. The episode begins with the outside view of the Loud House, as it sometimes did, and the music was absent. At the beginning of Brawl in the Family, it cut to Lincoln watching television. Instead of playing video games like he normally does, he was just chilling. "Don't you just hate living with 10 sisters? Well, sometimes I do," he said. I saw a smile turn upside down, but on rare occasions. I go a little too far. I just wish they would leave me alone. But I can't hurt them, as they're my siblings. I want to love them, but there are things that they'll do like a setback for me. Lincoln here sounded a little more serious than normal. "Hey, bro," Luann said as she appeared next to Lincoln at the next shot. "What did the platypus say before leaving the bar? Put it on my bill." Lincoln frowned as she laughed. "Luann, yes, that's pretty funny. Do you want to smell my flower? I'm not falling for..." Luann's flower sprayed water on Lincoln's face before he could finish what he was saying. "Okay, Luann, do you want some of the banana cream pie?" Luann said, before slamming it into Lincoln's face. I wondered why the description said the episode was too dark. Luann was just making many jokes that made the episode more stupid than graphic. Lincoln then facepalmed in dissatisfaction. "Stop, Luann, you're not funny. What do you call a boy who is completely white?" A flower boy! Luann laughed a bit, but one shot later, Lincoln had slid his hand off of his face, revealing his angry eyes. Enough is enough! Lincoln said furiously as she grabbed Luann by the shoulders. Wow, nice grip, bro. Your shoulder work out of the gym, Luann laughed at her little joke. Then something happened. It took me back to the shot of Lincoln. It felt as if I was hit by a train. Just after Luann laughed at her joke, Lincoln slammed her head against the wall, bruising her and knocking her out. A low Abin tune then played in the background. Lincoln gasped and stared at the crack in Luann's head, and then at her purple, bruised, unconscious body. He looked at his hands in fear. What have I done? I've never done something like this before. He then looked back at Luann. But this made me feel so alive. For some reason, I never felt this good in a while. I just know what to do. It then cut back to black for 3 seconds, translating to Lori texting on her phone, possibly to Bobby. Hey Lori, can you drive me to the comic book store? Just do it yourself or get Mom, Lincoln. Lori then left the room, which I assume she went to go to the bathroom. Then Lincoln looked at her phone, which she left inside. Glaring at this and has the next wiped out. One shot later, Lori has been seen walked in the room when, Lincoln, let go of my phone, right? Lori was then hit on the head by her phone. As it broke with shattering of glass, Lincoln then walked over to her body and looked down at her. This is for smashing my VR console, teenage brat. Lincoln then was silent in anger. As it cut to Lori's lifeless body, her phone was shattered, but bits of glass scattered across her face. Being cut across some places, she was bleeding from her face from where she was cut. I was shocked to see a middle-aged child go on such a killing spree like this. Why was this even made? I thought to myself. It then cut to black yet again, yet to change to a different scene, taking place in the backyard. Hey Lincoln, wanna wrestle? Sure, why not, Lynn? I bet I'll win this time. I knew this was gonna be a no wrestling match, but I kept watching just to see where it would go. As Lincoln was wrestling with Lynn, he got behind her shortly after and cut to a close-up of Lynn's eyes. Come at me, bro! Lynn's anticipation was cut short when she was not only wide in her eyes, but gagged. I knew something went wrong. The dark tune grew louder, and then cut to a close-up to show Lincoln, choking his 13-year-old sister from behind. Not only that, the animation quality changed to a style very similar to that of King of the Hill. It looked so shocking that it didn't look like a cartoony as before. I watched Lynn grab her brother's hands to break free, but it was useless for her to escape. It cut to Lynn's point of view as she was turned around face to face with Lincoln. This is when I felt that I was gonna faint. Lincoln's face had a menacing cold and a possessed look at this point. His eyes were bloodshot, his pupils were larger, than his skin was a tad bit darker. The animation at this point then went back to the normal style, but his face was still highly detailed. In Lincoln's pupils were the reflection of his choking sister Lynn. I watched back in horror as the vision went blurry and then her eyelids opened and then closed. By the time she had her eyes shut, she was done. It was over for her and the gloomy music stopped. The next shot went to Lincoln sitting in the dark with Lynn's body, and after a few long tunes played, Lincoln then looked at his sibling's body with pleasured look on his face. After 30 seconds, he spoke. Sleep tight, Lynn. You're free. I got chills when he said those words. Lincoln had snapped, and then he was going to be a longer and the man with a plan. He was now a corrupt soul. I wonder who's next for the axe, he wondered, then to himself and looked with a panning smile. His thoughts came to him. The video then suddenly turned black and white, and Lincoln pulled Lenny closer to him with a pair of scissors in hand and glared at Lola with a bat in his hand. Then he was smashing Luna's guitar on her face and was about to set Lucy on fire, but it cut to black afterwards. A line of white uppercase text spelling 1 week later and faded in after 5 seconds. It was clear that 1 week has passed and the nightmare it was nighttime again. When the text on the screen faded out, Lincoln was staring at the bodies of his now dead sisters, which were under his bed. To name a few fates, Lily choked on what is assumed to be a small toy, and Lola was cut in the face multiple times. I'm not gonna get to the rest of the sisters though. My job is done and I just need one more. But who is it? He said, looking around. Yes, it must be me. There is something that I must do, Lincoln said as he looked down. Then it cut to black for 10 seconds, and now Lincoln was seen dead. His back was turned to face the camera, and I felt bewildered. All the Loud siblings were dead, all because Lincoln had snapped, and it built up to this moment that Lincoln had to take his life in order to join his sisters. Well, not just all of his sisters. Just after a silent 12 seconds, Luann slowly got out of Lincoln's bed and then panted heavily. It was a relief that she didn't die. Like I said earlier, she was knocked out, not dead. Her wounds were still present, but she was a bit pale, and more blood had dripped down her face, but not entirely. She looked at Lincoln and then back at her sisters, which were now lifeless corpses. "This is no joke," Luann said softly, as she witnessed her first mass murder. She stood up for a moment before limping outside, possibly to tell the parents of what happened. Afterwards, the camera then panned slowly to Lincoln's body. Then it cut to the black room with Luann crying. She grabbed a needle and stabbed herself with it. Then she grabbed the kitchen knife, and then she finally took her own life. Then Luann fell to the ground. It then faded to black, indicating the end of the episode. Then the credits had an eerie ambient tune that was in the background, and the same with the white fog on the title card of the black background moving left, but it lasted a bit longer. As the credits stopped and the screen went black, and an echoing high tune rang for about 12 seconds, it gave me the willies, but afterwards, the episode was finally over. Questions still ran in through my head. Why was this made? Nothing had led Chris Savino, the creator of the show, to make this. This episode had to be something out of it. I just knew I had to. I tried doing some research on the certain episode, but nothing was found specific about it, the episode. I went to bed after spending 25 minutes doing useless research because no other proper website had anything about the episode. I still had some nightmares about this episode. Lincoln just stood there with his cold, angry, bloodshot eyes and overly detailed face. He did nothing. He just watched at me as I slept. I always turned on my lights after those nightmares happened. I didn't want to see him strangling me, slamming me against the wall, or whatever he could do to end my life. I didn't want to go to the digital fossils for a week because of that episode. That it didn't mean that I was done through it though. I just hope that someday, some info about this episode, like who would suggest the idea for the episode. However, there is the real question. How did they get away with making such an abysmal episode? And that, my little pretties, was Loud House Enough is Enough, a Loud House Lost episode creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Okay, this is actually one of the very popular Loud House creepypastas that I believe I've seen. Like, I mean, I've seen some, other, Lost episode pastas on the Loud House. Like, I mean, like, most of them I did find were cliche. Like, I've seen a couple narrations of this story. Like, I actually looked online, and I actually have seen a couple narrations of this. And this one is actually one of the popular Loud House creepypastas I've seen. Now, I know I narrated a rewritten version of Enough is Enough by No More Lord, and that was like I don't know, 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago. I believe that was, I think it was around near the end of April when I sat there and narrated that story. But there's a few good things I do have to say about this story. Like the beginning part of the story, with the, how the episode came to be, having it be online. And, I mean, I will give it admit that the beginning half of the story was pretty good. But when we get to the episode itself of the Loud House, that's when it just went downhill from right then and there. I'm sorry, but for those who, never read this story, I'm not gonna lie, this one was pure crap. Pure dog crap. That's all what this story is. Now, I mean, there are a few good pauses, I have to say, which is I'm gonna go through first, before I go ahead and, explain, what I did not like about this story. Now, first of all, the grammar was pretty good. It was readable, same with the sentence structuring, and I like how it was laid out along with the storyline. Like, I mean, the storyline would seem to be promising and good at the beginning, but unfortunately, it fell and miserably, and it just went downhill from there. That's the same thing with, some stories that I personally have, read in the past. This one, I'm not gonna lie, this one, failed miserably. Like, the beginning part was good, but when it got to the second part, which was the narration of the creepypasta, like, the episode itself was not that great. Like, I mean, the first half of it, where somebody goes finds it online, and that, I'm willing to admit that was actually quite has a pretty good startup. But when it got to the episode, it just went downhill from there. That's unfortunate because I know this story got really popular, but at the same time, I really just don't really care about this story. So I'm just gonna definitely say this right now, that this story was not good. Like, I know, if you remember, I narrated this story back in 2019. I did remember saying that, I like this story, but now I can understand why some people I do know don't like it. Like, I remember from Shadow's point of view, he did not like this story. So I'm gonna sit here and say this right now. The beginning of the story was good, but I would have to say the rest of the episode itself just went completely flat, and it just went downhill from there. And basically, the episode, just went from 1 to 100, with featuring, well, Lincoln sitting there going on a killing spree and killing all of his sisters for absolutely no reason why. Like, there's no reason why Lincoln would sit there and do that. I know if Lincoln's mad with his sisters over something, that could be one thing, because, if you watch the show, you know how mad Lincoln does get at times. But there's no reason of Lincoln to sit there and kill his sisters like this. There's absolutely no reason at all. Like, I mean, I'm gonna give it benefit of the doubt right here. I know writing a lost episode pasta of the Loud House may not be, an easy thing to do, but it's not impossible to make a good one. Like, I mean, one of them being is that there is a lot of, well, cliches. Like, one of them being, Chris Savino made the episode or something. Like, I mean, there's absolutely no reason to sit here and say, why would Chris Savino, made this episode or something. Like, I mean, like, why? Why there's actually no reason to sit there and do that. So I'm not gonna sit here and you know be harsh here, but there's absolutely no reason for that to become the case. Like, I mean, there's no reason of the episode itself to be completely just thrown out the window. Like, I will give it benefit of the doubt that most creepypastas with Loud House, yeah, I'm just gonna definitely say this story was just not that great. I mean, it's cliche at the end saying, why would this episode exist? Like, a lot of creepypastas have done that, so that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of kept myself. Why did I even like this story to even begin with? I don't know why. I don't know what was going in my head back then in 2019, but now I understand why people really hate this story. And I don't blame them for hating this story at all. Like, if people don't like this story, I respect their opinion. Like, if they like it, that's fine too. But the story of its own self it's just bad. That's just from my perspective. Oh, and not to mention, there was this one photo of Lori, and like Lori had like her, a phone with glass shards on her face and that. And I'm gonna say right now, that's just really stupid. Like, one thing I definitely have to say is that phones are okay, like the screens are not made of glass. They're probably just well, I don't know what they're made of. I don't know what the phone glass part, screen parts are made of. I definitely know they're not glass, but I don't really know. Maybe it's something that I'm not understanding. I don't know. Like, I mean, that's pretty stupid of, having Lori sitting there and getting killed by phone glasses everywhere, like on her face. Like, why? Like, there's no, probably get knocked out from it, yes, but that's, but that right there is just pretty stupid, at least to me. I'm not trying to be harsh on the offer in any way, shape, or form, but that's just my honest opinion on that. Like, why would even Lincoln sit there and kill his friends, like his sisters? Like, many creepypastas, even stupid ones, well, not stupid, but most creepypastas I've seen are cliched nowadays because they do this kind of thing. Like, why? But I mean, like, some of the characters on the way that that Lincoln did to his sisters, like, some of them shouldn't have been dead. Some of them should be, alive. But in this case, I think it's just stupid. I'm sure most of you may agree with me if you read this, but I've read this story like a couple of times, and I'm never touching this story again after this. This story was garbage. That I'm definitely saying. This story was just completely and utterly garbage. Like, I mean, the grammar was good, and same with the beginning part of the story of basically how to find the lost episode or lost media in that. I'm definitely gonna give it that. But the whole episode alone, it just went completely downhill, and it's just it was just so stupid in my opinion. I'm not trying to be harsh or anything. I'm just being honest. Like I'm gonna say, this is simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regarding these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. And my final rating of this story would have to be a 3 out of 10. I know that may seem a bit high, but I'm only giving it a 3 because the grammar was good, the sentence structure was good, but I mean, the beginning part of the story was pretty good too. But when it got to, the rest of the episode and the episode itself and even the ending, it just went completely downhill because lots of other pastas done this. So that's why it's getting a 3 out of 10. But, it's just still not great. Now, to the offer, I can't seem to find your original name on who you are. So, until I could find out who the author of this story is, I'm gonna leave this as anonymous for now. So, if the author does manage to find this video and comment on it and let them know that they wrote it, I'll be sure to sit there and give them proper credit. Like sit there and actually edit description if I do find the author's name, and same with the title. But that's just it. Other than that, this story was not good. Anyways, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here and I have to go get my brain fixed.